Handcuffed and in court, Nicolas Maduro pleads not guilty in New York. The deposed Venezuelan leader was helicoptered into the city alongside his wife to face drugs and weapons charges, which they both deny. A triumphant President Trump suggesting others are also in his sights.
Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long.
Well, the UN has voiced concerns over whether or not international law was breached by the US action. Here, Keir Starmer has not condemned the operation, but he did speak up in support of Greenland, also tonight. Faking it for the fat jab, ITV News reveals how average-sized people are using AI tricks to qualify for weight loss drugs. Schools off for thousands as extreme winter weather puts paid to the start of term. And buzz off how Luke Littler didn't let a wasp spoil his big victory.
Try not to get stung.
You could probably take that out with one dart, couldn't you?
If it was on the board, yeah.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. Venezuela's former leader, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Celia Flores, have tonight appeared before a New York court to face drugs and weapons charges, just days after being seized by US Special Forces in Caracas. It came as the US Secretary General expressed deep concerns over whether international law had been breached by the US military action. Here, the UK Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, did not condemn the operation, but he did push back against President Trump's desire to annex Greenland. We'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, from Manhattan, here's our US correspondent, Dan Rivers.
After his dramatic capture from Venezuela's presidential compound, it was almost as if the US authorities were flaunting Nicolas Maduro for the cameras.
Crazy or what?
Changing vehicles halfway through his journey, allowing the overhead news crews to see him and his wife Celia Flores as they were then walked to a waiting helicopter for the short hop over the water to Manhattan. Outside the court, security was tight as he appeared for the short hearing where charges of running a narco-terrorism organisation were put to him. He entered a not guilty plea in a trial which will be months away.
This is a very serious indictment. It's completely consistent with what we would expect from the Southern District of New York United States Attorney's Office. It's a really real substantive United States Attorney's Office of prosecutors that doesn't bring weak cases, doesn't bring politically motivated cases.
After the dramatic raid to depose him over the weekend, the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, has suddenly changed her tone from outrage to conciliation. Prompted perhaps by Donald Trump's warning she could pay a higher price than Maduro for not working with the US. Last night on Air Force One, Donald Trump threatened other countries.
Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long?
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and...
It sounds good to me.
I remain deeply concerned that rules of international law have not been respected with regard to the 3 January military action.
Tonight, the United Nations Security Council gathered to discuss the rapidly evolving threats, but with America's veto, it is powerless to act. As nations across what the Trump administration views as its hemisphere nervously watch the fate of Nicolas Maduro and try to calculate what this most unpredictable of US leaders will do next.
Well, I was in court a few metres away from Nicolas Maduro as he came in and bid everyone Happy New Year multiple times. He was flanked by DEA officers wearing an orange prison-issue T-shirt with a blue top
over it. He was asked to confirm his name, and he replied saying his name, Nicolas Maduro, President of the Republic of Venezuela, and then went on to try and say that he'd been kidnapped since January the 3rd, and that he was a decent man. At that point, the judge interrupted him and reminded him this was simply just to confirm who he was. His wife, Celia Flores, was also there with plasters, we were told by her lawyer, as a result of the raid in which she and her husband were deposed and brought to America.
OK, Dan Rivers in New York City there, thank you. Well, after the US operation inside Venezuela, President Trump has made a number of threats to other countries in the region. He has repeated his belief that taking over Greenland, a self-governing Danish territory, is necessary for US national security. In Latin America, he said Cuba's communist government looks like it is ready to fall. And as you've just heard, Trump has threatened Colombia's leadership too, saying a similar military operation there sounds good to him. Well, our correspondent Robert Moore is in Cucuta on the Colombian-Venezuelan border tonight. Robert, how has the Maduro appearance in court gone down in Venezuela, where you are?
Well, I mean, amid all of that courtroom drama in Manhattan, 2,000 miles south in Caracas at the National Assembly in Venezuela, Maduro's son accused the Americans of kidnapping his father, and other lawmakers accused America of a barbaric attack on Venezuelan sovereignty. It has to be said, though, that the regime in Venezuela appears pretty stable. Delcy Rodriguez, who is the acting president, is in place and has the almost impossible task of trying to balance sort of keeping Trump happy so he doesn't launch that threatened wave of second attacks, but also Venezuela's generals. But unmistakably, this is a regional crisis. You heard in Dan's report about the threats against where I am, Colombia, but it's right across the Western Hemisphere. Just listen to Donald Trump aboard Air Force One last night as he spoke about Greenland.
We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need it for national security. We have to have it.
Well, essentially, look, all countries across South and Central America and the Caribbean have to come to terms now with the fact that that Trump is emboldened after the success of that Caracas raid. But globally, you know, what big implications? Look, if America, if the United States can do this across the Western Hemisphere, can China do this across Asia? Can Russia do this across the Caucasus and Eastern Europe? So this feels like a pivotal moment in world diplomacy.
Robert Moore in Cucuta, thank you. Well, Keir Starmer again declined to criticise the US action in Venezuela today, but was much firmer on Greenland, saying its future is up to its own people. Our political correspondent Carl Dinnan spoke to the Prime Minister a little bit earlier today. Carl, Sir Keir is walking a very tricky line, isn't he?
That's right, Mary. The Prime Minister has built up a good relationship with President Trump. He believes that is delivering in the national interest. And so whilst everyone from Jeremy Corbyn to Nigel Farage has declared that US actions in Venezuela break international law, and I expect Labour backbenchers to join in with that shortly, Keir Starmer refuses to say it. Instead, when I spoke to him earlier, he did say this.
The most important thing, to my mind, is the peaceful transition to democracy in Venezuela.
It's too late to call for that. There have been air raids and a president has been snatched by special forces.
No, it's not. No, we were calling for that before the weekend, and we continue to call for that because for so many people in Venezuela, that is what is so important.
Now, buried within that call for a peaceful transition is, I think, possibly a message to the United States that there should be no more military action, but you really have to look to see it. Where he was much stronger, though, was on the subject of Greenland, which you've just heard President Trump saying the United States needs to have. Sir Keir Starmer, in common with other European leaders, says the future of Greenland must be left to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone.
Carl Dinnan in the House of Parliament, thank you. Next tonight, an ITV News investigation has exposed how easy it is for young people with healthy weights to access prescription-only weight loss jabs. We found some pharmacies are breaking the rules by sending out the injections with just a single picture of the person trying to get them, despite it being all too easy to edit a picture to make anyone look overweight. Cree's Summer Horton has this special report.
Regulations from the General Pharmaceutical Council and others demand a two-way consultation, which could be video or face-to-face, or something called independent verification.
So not all of the pharmacies that we approached approved us. Some asked for us to send a video, some asked me to send a photo next to a weighing scale, and some asked for a video consultation.
In response to our investigation, the General Pharmaceutical Council told us that at least 2 of the pharmacies that gave us the drugs are not meeting.
And for details of advice and support, do head to our website. That's itv.com/news. Moving on now, and Manchester United are tonight looking for a new permanent manager after sacking Ruben Amorim after 14 months in charge. It came less than 24 hours after his team's 1-1 draw away to Leeds, and after he himself suggested he's not fully in control. Here's our sports editor, Steve Scott, on what went wrong.
From his very first day, Ruben Amorim wore his heart on his sleeve, once even calling his United team the worst ever. But that honesty caught up with him yesterday, almost as if he knew what lay ahead.
I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach of Manchester United. And that is clear. I'm not going to quit. I will do my job until other guy is coming here to replace me.
Outside Old Trafford, they seemed fairly relaxed by yet another false dawn.
I've not been impressed with his interviews and stuff like that, mate. So yeah, I don't think he was the right man for the job, to be honest, from the start.
If we just keep recycling managers over and over again, we're going to have the same result. I think you should have at least given him to the end of the season.
While the club insists the decision to sack Amorim was purely performance-related, sources have told ITV News he'd recently become more emotional about feedback he was receiving. Interpreted another way, that could suggest Amorim was angry at criticism from the club's hierarchy.
And now Jared Gillett blows the full-time whistle.
United finished a lowly 15th in the Premier League last season, but currently they sit in 6th.
Maresca at Chelsea and now Amorim at Man United have spoken out against the hierarchy and have been sacked immediately. So it tells you that's not the right thing to do. But what I would say is that his record is actually the worst of any manager at Manchester United post Sir Alex Ferguson.
Amorim was all smiles, maybe even a little relieved this afternoon, accompanying his wife on a bracing stroll.
Good luck with everything.
Unlike the football club that's just got rid of him, he now has plenty of time to decide what next. Steve Scott, ITV News, Old Trafford.
Well, Ruben Amorim wasn't the only football manager to lose his job today. Celtic sacked Wilfried Nancy after just 33 days. After 6 defeats from the 8 games he spent in charge, his contract was terminated with immediate effect. Well, there's plenty more still to come in the ITV Evening News, including snow derails the start of school for thousands of students.
To win the World Darts Championship.
And how Luke Littler plans to spend his £1 million prize money following his back-to-back World Darts win. Do stay with us. Those stories and more after this short break. See you then. Again, welcome back. Weather warnings remain for large parts of the UK, with temperatures set to fall as low as -10 Celsius tonight. Heavy snow forced the closures of hundreds of schools today, and there were cancellations and disruption at airports and on the roads and railways. Parts of northern Scotland were some of the worst affected areas, as Peter Smith reports.
The north of Scotland does tend to get snow, so when it hits as heavily as this, people in these parts have all the gear and the right idea.
I'm fortunate I've not had to be anywhere, so staying at home has been okay. Yeah, I mean, my work's been cancelled because I drive for work, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
On what was supposed to be the first day back, every school in Aberdeenshire remained closed today. We found children still trying to get over that news.
I'm looking at you and your friends out here sledging and no school today. You must be absolutely gutted.
No, absolutely not. Off school tomorrow.
Off school is fun.
Yeah. The best snow ever.
Best snow ever.
Yeah.
Hundreds of schools were also closed in Northern Ireland, and here's why. This bus was on its way to pick up children for a school in Armagh, still open this morning. Fortunately, no one was injured. This snowfall has hit hard across Wales and all the way to Whitby. If you're wondering why so many trains had to be cancelled, well, outside this window is the line from Aberdeen to Dundee. There are areas we're still unable to reach, so we're being sent video updates.
Some of the drifts are 3, 4, even 5 feet deep. I've never seen this in my lifetime. I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen this in their lifetime.
The lack of clear roads for deliveries is also affecting businesses in bigger towns like Stonehaven.
I can't get delivery, can't get vegetable, can't get milk. I went to the cook to get some milk, no milk.
Surprise, surprise.
$12.99.
But where some see a challenge, others see an opportunity. What's been the hottest item in Stonehaven today?
Shovels. And sledges, but more so shovels.
The worst of this should now be over here, but there is a yellow warning for another cold snap in southern Scotland and northern England tomorrow. Well, this started with a cold wind from Scandinavia bringing in about a foot of snow from the North Sea, and it's left people without power. And even after that amber weather warning expired this morning, there was another 9 centimetres of snow fell in Aberdeenshire this afternoon. And as we see the weather warnings move elsewhere, here it could be a couple of more days before those roads and rails can be cleared.
Peter Smith in Aberdeen, thank you. There have been calls for earlier screening of babies for a rare genetic condition after the former Little Mix star Jessie Nelson revealed her twin daughters may never be able to walk. They both have spinal muscular atrophy, which causes progressive muscle weakness and wasting.
Former Little Mix member Jessie Nelson choked back tears as she told followers her twin babies have a rare genetic muscle wasting disorder, spinal muscular atrophy.
And if it's not treated in time, your baby's life expectancy will not make it past the age of 2.
Her daughters were born prematurely last May, and Jessie says despite early signs like reduced movement and difficulty feeding, it took months to get a diagnosis and, crucially, life-changing gene therapy. A treatment 5-year-old Edward Willis Hall received as a baby. His mum says until Edward had a cardiac arrest, his SMA symptoms were also ignored.
It really is a race against time. And if you're left months and months, you lose crucial abilities like breathing, swallowing, eating. You know, there is a simple solution: newborn screening and more education within the healthcare system.
Oh, it'll never be easy.
Pop star Jessie has added her voice to calls for routine testing to be rolled out across the UK. In Scotland, newborns will soon be screened for SMA, while NHS England says the national policy is under review. Carrie Davis, ITV News.
And finally, the teenage dart sensation Luke Littler has told ITV News how even a wasp attack couldn't ruin the buzz of winning his second world title in a row. The 18-year-old had to fight off the insect during Saturday night's final in London. Ellie Pitt reports.
147 to win the World Darts Championship.
He's been here before, and second time round the victory was just as sweet, because Luke Littler now joins just 3 other men who've won back-to-back world titles.
To put my name on the list with them other 3 legends, it's a big thing, and that's all I wanted coming into the tournament. Forget the money, just that trophy again.
Receiving the record £1 million.
The prize money is hard to ignore, though. What does an 18-year-old spend £1 million on?
I'm into football cards at the minute, so I might have to treat myself to a few boxes.
Whoa! As well as darts rivals, Littler faced another opponent in the venue. He also had the pesky Ali Pali Wasp to contend with.
Just got to try and get away from you, try and hit it. Try not to get stung.
You could probably take that out with 1 dart, couldn't you?
If it was on the board, yeah.
but really no one was getting in Luke the Nuke's way this tournament. And with the form he's in, it's hard to see who could stop this world champion. Ellie Pitt, ITV News.
And that's about all from us for now. The weather is next, and Tom's here with the latest at 10. But for me and the evening team, bye-bye.